Welcome, bet riders around the world. My name is Gary Solomon, and you are watching the Laidback Bike Report Town Hall Meeting. What's that, you say? Well, we kind of just came up with it here very recently. It's great to be with you guys, and of course, these are some interesting times we are all living in around the world. And so by talking to some of my team members here the last few days, we were trying to come up with some ways of facilitating being with you guys, letting you share your experiences as a bent rider dealing with the COVID-19 situation, whether it be quarantine or being restricted to the house or whatever happens to be. We want to know what's going on with you guys. Then we want to share a few of your experiences, and we're going to have a couple guests on too. So let's get started here. Let me get to this is going to be very informal, guys, not like our usual show where we try to get everything into a script just right. So kind of bear with us, but I think it'll be fun, and we're glad to have you all again with us today. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're talking about today, where I can. I'm going to give you a little bit of guidance, and again, it's going to go wherever it's going to go. So our town hall idea is to have our panelists involved in discussions with you. So those of you that are on the live chat, ask us questions. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us what your situation is. We might even be able to bring you into the session with the video and have you tell us your story on a short 5 or 10 minutes while you're on chat. We can bring you in, I think. So let me tell you how that's going to work. Let me jump down here. What our process is for that is if you're on live chat and you have a little something you want to talk to us about, and to all of our viewers, send us an email at laidbackbikereport@gmail.com. And I'm going to be taking a look at that every so often here. If you do that, we will send you a link that will bring you into the session here. And then we can bring you up, and I'll say hi and ask you what's up, and we'll see what you have to say. So we'll see how well that works. We can give that a try. We're anxious to experiment with that. Now, we have a couple guests, as I mentioned. We will bring them up and talk to them in a minute. As far as subjects go, I'm going to leave it pretty wide open. It's a town hall, but here are some ideas that we came up with. We want to know how you're coping with the social distancing as far as your bent riding goes. So if you're out there riding your recumbent, how has the riding changed from what you did before? Are you riding further apart? Do you think you already have enough space the way that you're riding naturally with your bike or trike? You can tell us about what's going on in your garage. That might be an interesting thing. Are you working on an interesting recumbent project you'd like to share with us shortly? You have some tips or tricks that you want to share. Even if you have a short review just off the top of your head, something you've been using, a bike, a trike, an accessory, whatever it happens to be, and you want to give us your idea about how well it works, we're happy to hear from you on that. And I also thought, why not classified? So maybe you're thinking of buying something that you're looking for, something that you might want to sell. We can put you up here, and you can tell us about what that might be. I'm selling my latest trike. Here's where I am, and you might be interested. Here's my email, type of thing. So we also may, from time to time, get an industry guest or a recumbent shop owner that pops in and wants to tell us about what's going on. And in fact, we have Peter Stull with us today, so we're going to ask him about what the latest is with the Bicycle Man as representative. But if there are any manufacturers, recumbent manufacturers, or bench shop owners out there watching, and you want to hop on and talk to our viewers about what's going on with you, please, we'd love to have you on as well. We'll have some interesting surprise guest appearances that way. So that's the idea. I'm not going to belabor that. We'll go wherever this takes us. I'm going to be watching the chat as we go. And let's see. So, and if you decide you want to come into the session and talk to us, what you'll need is a computer with a webcam and some earbuds or earphones. That's all that it requires. And again, I will send you a link via email. You'll click on it and you'll be able to come into the session. And hopefully that will work out smoothly. It doesn't always, but that's the way it goes. So So let's give that a try. That's where we're going to go. Let's first of all, let me tell you the crew members that I have with me today. Trey, go ahead and let's pop the first ones on here. We'll get 6 of us on at once. Let's go ahead and bring, we got 2 else. Peter. Yep. And is that it? That's all the crew guys, right? Yeah. So, all right. So we're right. We've got, of course, Trey is Trey Burgoyne from Jackson, Mississippi. Hey, Trey.
Hello.
Thanks for being with us. And down in Floral City, Florida, on the Withlacoochee Trail, as always, there is our pal Denny Voorhees. Hey, Denny.
Hey, how you doing, Gary?
It's thanks for coming on today. And down in Dallas, Texas, it's Mr. Wizard Doug Davis is with us. Hello, Doug.
Hey, Gary.
It's great to have you on. And as I mentioned, it's the bicycle man himself, Peter Stull in Alfred Station, New York. Peter, hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
Beautiful weather here.
Yeah. Is it? Is it getting nicer?
Gorgeous. Oh,
yeah,
it's 45 and sunny all day. It was great.
Wow. Yeah, you sound terrific with that headset too, by the way. That was a good move.
Thank you.
So, all right. So you guys can all stay where you are. And I think let's start with our first guest. Well, hang on. Let me quickly look through our chat here and see. There is our pal Bob Pelton. Hello, Bob. I'm glad you're with us today. You clicked the reminder so you know we were on, didn't you? All right. All right. Here's an early worm. This is very new. He was on chat way before we even started. I'm not sure who might be able to answer this question. Just over 10 meters to go, and I'll start us off if I may. 10 minutes to go. I've just added a Lepus steps to my stable of a Ketwiesel Evo and a Scorpion FS20. So that's good. And I think there's a follow-up here. Yep. I want to invert the seat attachment for the Lepus to make it a Ket. Has anyone any experience of this? I'm also playing with putting the Haza tandem attachment behind the Scorpion seat. All right, well, let's ask our recumbent shop owners, Doug or Peter. You guys have any idea about this? I'm at a loss.
I suppose you could mount the tandem mount on the back of a rugged rack. It would have to be pretty rugged. And when you build something like that, think about what happens if it fails. What happens is the trike in the back loses total control and stops in the middle of an intersection, and there's an oncoming truck. So think of the worst case scenario. Be safe, and it's a neat idea if you do it well.
Yeah, I was just thinking that you're going to have to fabricate some kind of bracket and some kind of safety mechanism for the exact same reason Peter was saying. It's doable, but it's going to take some fab work, not something you're going to bolt on. You're going to want to actually build yourself a bracket.
Very good. And from Colorado Springs, our pal Larry Seidman has just joined us. Hello, Larry. Welcome aboard. Okay, we're not hearing you, buddy, so see if you can work on that. Yeah, well, I don't know. I heard a little bit there. Let's move along here. Larry can work on that. I'm going to send you backstage for now. Larry, there we go. Okay, so what else we got? Bent Revolution. Yeah, looking forward to some non-COVID news. We're gonna try to do that. So that's what this is all about. Thanks a lot. And from our friend up in Canada, yep, Larry Hager. He's got a shop up there. Sells ice, I know, and I think a couple other things. Hey, Larry. And Jersey Bents. Yeah, that's our friend Larry Hobbs. Hey, Larry, good to see you. What else? And Eric Van from Wheaton, Illinois. It's good to see you there.
Hey, check Facebook, Gary.
All right. And Barry's from the French Pyrenees. Okay, that's good news. And who else here? Okay, there's another Jan. I don't know what that means. Is this a refreshing show? Could be. And Josef Janning is in Bonn, Germany. Hello, Josef. And Kirk, good to see you. And Marco Roper. Good to see you, Marco, from the Netherlands. And Scott Radliff. It's good to see you, Scott. And I think that's it for right now. What do you got? Denny, you had something on Facebook?
Yeah, we had some Facebook people.
Well, they're all on here. We see them all.
Got them all?
Yeah,
okay,
we haven't got to everyone yet. We see them all here. So The Bisomaniac. Oh, is that you? That Peter? That's your handle.
Yes, that's me. Yep.
Maniac. I know. I don't know about that. So
Well, I've been called worse recently, even.
Kirk Mandus says I did a mock ride of an event that was canceled. Okay, I'm not sure how you did that. Tell us how you did that. That would be inside, maybe. Is that what that was about? And Jan says triking to work again tomorrow, so that's good news. And Joseph, I've been riding almost every day this week while pretty much in self-isolation. A Velomobile helps a lot in that sense. Yeah, and I've been seeing all your posts on Facebook. Amazing. He takes great pictures too, folks. If you
Doug, that's a new commercial for you. Get a Velomobile, ride in safety.
Exactly. Well, that's what we were talking about. Social isolation is a Velomobile with the hood closed.
Ride in isolation. Yeah, that's it. That's what you just said there, right?
Corona-free
What do
zone.
we got here? Going to order my project tomorrow, a Bafang mid-drive and a roll-off for my Cat Trike Quad. Okay. I don't know what's a Cat Trike Quad? I guess that's a home-built.
Utah Trikes makes.
Yeah.
They do an alteration.
And there's Barry saying that he's making a bracket. So Peter, I guess that where he was going with that. So
make it rugged.
Yeah. 18 billions trying to save money to purchase a trike. Well, with 18 billion, you should be able to do that. All right. And
we've got something in that price range.
Do you?
At least two.
Yeah. Aurora, Colorado, Gork 57. Good expensive trike racks for my 92 Civic hatchback. Haven't seen any reviews on the few brands out there. What's the word on Cycle Simplex? Peter, Doug?
There are a lot of nuts and bolts to put them together, and you want to keep the nuts and bolts tight. They're not welded together as much as they're bolted together. The last one we had. But if I had a 92 Civic hatchback, I'd tie it in the roof. I would clean off the tires and clean off the roof and set it up there with a parking brake, and then I'd get some ratchet straps and I'd tie it down. And my rule to tying things in the roof is use at least 3 straps so that if any one comes loose, you can go, what's that flapping noise? And pull over and still have the trike. But I'm assuming you're not extremely concerned about scratching the car. And if you're resting the trike on tires, it won't scratch it anyway. I mean, I don't see where the roof rack pads on a roof rack are any softer than the tires on a trike. So my personal opinion.
Yeah,
I'm a cheap guy.
Yeah, I got to say that the Cycle Simplex racks, they've worked. We've had a few of them in here, but there are a lot of screws.
Yeah.
You're gonna,
bucket of bolts.
Yeah, there are a lot of screws, and we've had people buy them, take them home, and then bring them back in various assorted states and say, "Hey, can you help us? I'm missing a screw that goes here," and they'll point to the hole. And we're like, "Okay, let's start getting in the buckets and see if we can find the one that they've dropped."
Definitely want Loctite.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've talked to them about blue Loctiting a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
because they do work themselves loose, and or at least the ones that we sell, we charge the assembly fee because we don't put these things on because they're so complicated. We want to make a little chop time for it. We go and switch them out to Nylox. A lot of places they don't have the Nylox on them. We use Nylox and walk washers everywhere because
my hitch rider uses Nylox. It comes with Nylox.
Yeah, the Cycles have some of them, but not all the bolts, and everything gets changed.
Yep,
I have a hitch rider that we have thousands of miles on it.
Yeah.
Here's Kurt coming back to us. I think that was who was talking about kind of simulating a ride that's out there. And so he just does his own ride where he is with the same number of miles, which I think that's a really good idea for folks. So that's a great tip. So
we've seen I've seen a big uptick on indoor riding. So we sold a lot. In fact, I'm out of trainers now. Even the high-end ones were gone. We have a lot of people doing virtual rides. Our clubs here are doing virtual rides where people are staying together and they're using Discord to talk. And so we've seen some big upticks on that here.
Our local clubs are organizing virtual group rides now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So let's, we're about 15 minutes in here, folks. We're going to try to see if we can just do an hour here. I don't want to go too crazy. I think the panel discussion revolving around our chat is working real well. So I think I want to come back to that. I will come back to this chat in a minute, but I don't want to forget our guests. We've worked hard really quickly to get these guys on and get a few pictures together for them. So maybe at this time, you guys keep the chat going, and we'll come back to them in a little bit. I think it's time maybe that we introduce our first guest. So Trey, can you bring Jan up, please? And let's go ahead and hey, let's highlight. So let me get this off. Folks, this is Jan Trenson. Jan is in Belgium, and he was kind enough to contact me earlier today and say he wanted to join us on the show. So I want to give a nice, warm Laidback Bike Report greeting to Jan. Hello, Jan.
Hello, Gary. Thank you very much for having me.
Very good. It's great to have you. So for most of you who know what one of the best products in Belgium is, besides bent riding, they don't make any velomobiles or bents, I know, but they do make great beer. I believe that's what you were working on right there.
Yeah, I got an authentic one.
There we go. All right, Jan, could you tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, just real quickly, and then what it is that you do in the recumbent realm?
Well, I'm Jan Trenson. I own a Quattro Velomobile. I have a streamliner and I have a Milan rented for a year. I've raced upright race bicycles for 6 years and won a few races. And then I went to Oliebollentocht for 2 times, Velomobile-wise. I have some YouTube videos on there as well. Just my name channel is Jan Trenson. There are only like 4 or 5 videos out there, and I'm gonna make a new one about 2-year ownership of the Quattro Velo next week.
Jan, could I interrupt for just a second? And you mentioned, I'm going to say this wrong, but I call it Oliebollentocht. Could you explain to our viewers? Not everyone may know what that is. It's a very interesting tour.
Oh yeah, maybe I should explain. Oliebollentocht is like once a year between Christmas and New Year. There are like hundreds of velomobile coming together in the neighborhood of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany. And it's really nice. If you haven't seen pictures of Oliebollentocht, you should really look them up. Last year there were about 160 or something.
Very nice. Okay, so let's get on to more specifically what you do, and I think maybe we can hit the few slides that we have too. So, Trey,
Sure.
Let's go with the. There we go. Let's go with our slide, and we have our panelists with us to comment, and we'll go through the slides if that's okay with you, Jan. You can talk about what's going on here, and then anything else you want to talk about, just jump in there and say it.
Yeah, perfectly fine. I just included this slide to show you how my streamliner works. So it has no footholds, and the only way to get stable is to put your arms out of these like magnetic armholes and put them on the floor, and that's how you take off.
Did you make this streamliner? Did you buy it? What? Tell us about the streamliner.
I bought it from from a Dutch engineer who made it himself. It's mostly carbon fiber. Well, at least the bottom is. And I bought it last year, and I've been racing it for a few times.
Next slide, I think we have is that also the streamliner?
Yeah, but this is me getting to it. So I put that Superman sticker on there. I painted it white. I removed the landing gear because you could like pull on a rope because it only has 2 wheels and no footholds. So you could pull on a rope, so 2 little skeeler wheels would come out, rollerblade wheels you would call them, and that was the way you could take off and land. But I switched that. I took everything out, made it a kilogram lighter, and now it's fully aerodynamic. And what you see here is my rented Milan SL in racing hood. So you can see it has a very, very narrow window. It doesn't even have a window. It's just a hole. And this is the one I'm taking to the World Championships this year in Amsterdam because that's my main goal.
We really hope that's going to happen. And as you know, most of you know who follow us on Facebook or elsewhere, we are planning to make a trip, Lars and I, to Amsterdam to cover the World Championships. Again, we did it a couple of years ago, had the most wonderful time in Kent, England. And so we're hoping, we made our plans. We'll see how that works out. And if so, we will see you there, Jan. That'd be great. So
yeah,
go ahead.
This should be the bunch I'm bringing. If I have the room in the vans, I should bring my Quattro Velo as a backup on the right-hand side, the Milan SL in the middle, and my own streamliner at the top there. I've been training for 11 weeks now, and it keeps me going through lockdown. Like, this is my goal. I've trained for 15 hours this week, for example, just to get into shape. But it's still a long way to July.
All right, next one.
So this is the Quattro Velo I own. I've owned it for 2 years and 10,000 kilometers, whatever that is in miles. And I've maybe most noticeably, you can see that LED whip at the top. So a lot of people ask me about the LED whip. It makes you very visible at night. It has white to the front, red to the back, and it's just a homemade thingy. With LEDs, doesn't use that much battery. It may slow me down for like a kilometer an hour, but that's okay.
And Doug, please feel free to you'd be the man to jump in here if you have any comments or whatever to make on
Sure.
what you're missing.
I'm just jealous.
Is Doug Davis jealous of me? I think your garage is a little bit more well equipped than mine is.
Yeah, I know, but I don't get to go to Amsterdam for the World Championship, so you got one on me there.
That is true. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the Milan SL I'm using. Is that a good thing to take on the best at the World Championships?
Yeah, I think so. It's a fast. The Milan SLs are fast bikes. I like mine.
What's the fastest, Doug? The Milan SL or the After 7? I really want to know.
It depends on the course. So I would tell you, in my area where we have texture to the roads, it's not flat. The 7 will be faster because it's lighter and you're not burning as much energy climbing hills. But on the flat roads or where there are just a little rollers, then the Milan SL will outrun it just because the aerodynamics.
Cool. Then I took the right bike. Cool.
Yeah, for the Netherlands, absolutely.
And Jan, so Kurt has asked, I keep popping that up there. If it is as hot as it was last year, I know how hot it was in France. Tell me about the experience of being in a Velomobile. What do you have to do to be able to, to breathe and not swim in there when it's, so hot?
Yeah, well, I did the 2-day race at Meppen, Germany last year, and that was in my streamliner, and that was about 30 degrees outside, 30 degrees Celsius for that, which is really hot. And a lot of people were burning up. People in open recumbents were getting sunburns, and I just had a NACA duct and a hole under my visor in my streamliner, and it was perfectly fine. But it's also like a white streamliner. I was really like a lot finer than the other people. Now this one, you saw that crazy hood with the little window. That is gonna be crazy hot. So I'm thinking about, depending on the temperature, I might get a cooling vest.
Oh,
what do you think of that?
That means like water flowing through it, yes?
Not only water, even like these special chemical stuff that you break in to keep you cool for a couple of hours.
Ah.
Yeah, we've used those in the Texas time trials before, even on road bikes, because you do get so hot down here, because it'll be in the 40s Celsius here at times. And so I've seen regular road bicyclists use cool vest or ice vest, what have you. I've experimented a little bit, but honestly, I think that as long as you're moving, the Velomobiles and the Streamliner stay cool if you have the right static air ports in them. So I really haven't gone to that in mine. But if I had to sit at traffic lights, or if it was in a situation where you're climbing all the time, I probably would.
But do you think it's a good idea? I mean, this only has like 2 little light holes at the front, and that would be it. And this little hole here.
Yeah, but there's a lot of pressure that gets built up on that nose. I don't know how much you've experimented with it. Take the lights out, and you get a lot. So that's what I did on mine when I was racing. After we did a 24-hour race a year or so ago, and I did use mine for that. And after the nightfall, I just went into the pits and yanked the lights out, and got a whole lot more air through it when the heat came up.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you for your advice. I'm gonna be testing for the next couple of months, especially when it gets hotter.
Very good.
I'll show you a few more pictures.
Yeah,
of
let's
that.
go on to the next picture. Sure.
So this is just racing the streamliner. Back then, it still had the holes for the landing gear. So this is basically how it looks. This was a very cornery thing. I came in second or something. You can show the next one. This is, yeah, I took out the Quattro Velo with the cool blinded visor once for out racing. And on the left-hand side, you can see Mathias Koenig, who's like pretty famous here in Velomobile racing because he always wins. And it was, I mean, you cannot race a Quattro Velo at the highest level. I mean, that's just true. You know, Doug, you know.
It's a great, I mean, I love mine and I would never trade it for anything. And people ask all the time, if you have one Velomobile, which one would you have? And that would be the answer. Because it's just such a universally good machine to ride, carry stuff, do whatever you need to do. But yeah, it's not going to win any races.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome, but yeah.
Unless the race is about how much beer you can carry.
Yeah. Well, a lot. I saw the video. So this was at Meppen. This is in Germany. So this is with the when I don't have a landing gear, and you remember me pulling my my arms out. So if I don't have any landing gear, this is how I have to get in and out, like with a little wooden construction. So it's not very handy. It's like the least handy thing in the world. Okay. Yeah, you can show it in the next one. This is just a picture of the first after sevens I saw there, and also some. So in the front, I think was the Marcel Graber one, who was on your show, Gary. By the way.
Yeah, Marcel certainly was.
Yeah, I tested his.
He and Dave Lewis, who had done the Transamerica year before last, and of course Marcel won it. He absolutely won it by a large margin. So in that off sevens. Yeah,
and what you can see in the back, that yellow one, that is actually Daniel Fenn's own one, and that's his after seven. I'm also, don't tell my wife, but I'm on the waiting list for an after seven as well. It's pretty expensive, so whatever. But this is like between this and the Milan SL. I think that, by the way, if I can just add one thing into this whole video, I think personally that the DF is the best Velomobile I've ever tested. What do you think, Doug?
It's certainly one of the best. I still ride mine more than I ride my Alpha 7. So it's you know, everything is a trade-off. I always try to explain to people in the certain term of golf clubs, and some of the golf clubs are better for pitching, some of them are better for driving, and each Velomobile has its own nuances. And where I ride and what I ride and the kind of stuff I ride, I still stay on my DF more than any other Velomobile in the stable.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, really it is. Yeah, maybe next slide. I'll walk you through it. Yeah, just you see those little rollerblade wheels. That's how it looked before I removed them. So this is just a nice picture. Yeah, thank you, Trey. And then if you can share the next one. Yeah, this is me working on the Quattro Velo, just heisting it up to the ceiling. I would not recommend this, by the way. This is a terrible idea. And I've also included this picture because it's like the miniature 3D model of the new Crest 3.0 is out, and I thought, like, if we're gonna talk about a few new things coming up, this might be interesting. I've heard it's gonna be a little bit different from this. I think that back looks super awesome. It's like, I mean, you guys are Americans, right? What is that? Like a Chevy from the 60s, 70s? I don't know, but
the 50s and 60s with the fins on the back.
Yeah,
on the back and all that. Yep.
Yeah, awesome. I don't think it looks as nice as it does in this picture in real life and the newer pictures in the front, but this is an awesome picture. I really think it is. And they talked about having like these removable like wheel covers, but I'm in doubt. I talked to Alex Jacobs from Velomobile.nl a couple of months ago. I don't know. I really want to test this one. Yeah,
I'm sure they'll give you the opportunity on.
Yeah. Well,
right. All right. What else we got? Is that any more? Is that the last one?
I don't have any more pictures.
That's
I mean, you can call me later when you're talking about lockdown training.
We're gonna go through some more of the chat here in a minute, and we're happy to actually. Let me see. Yeah, let's just go ahead and leave Jan on for right now as we go through the top of this, and then we'll move on with our second guest here. I got to go back. While I'm doing this, Jan, go ahead and tell us what the situation is there, what it's like there in Belgium, and how does it affect your training? What can you do? What can't you do? Tell us.
In Belgium, we can still go cycling. which is awesome because you cannot do that in I think in France, Italy, and Spain, and we can go cycling alone or with like one friend. So I spent a lot of time on the bike, and also in preparation of a further lockdown, I've ordered a smart trainer, and 2 days ago I did my first run on Zwift. So that is awesome. I'm fully prepared for anything to come. I really want to improve my physique, get into upright bicycle racing, because I have to confess I'm a little bit of a mudblood. I do everything here. And then that should take me to the next level, and that should take me eventually to the World Championships.
All right. I think we might have had Arif on already here. And I know I did this one here. I don't know if we talked about Joseph here. So he thinks that, yeah, that the effect of this may be to get more people on bikes, I guess. And I think that's absolutely true. One of the subjects I had that I wanted the panel to talk about, maybe we'll just take this one and then we'll move on to the guest.
Can I just interfere, Gary?
No, but you can interject, please.
Oh, interject.
You won't be interfering. That's not what you're doing.
Like the chat guy, he said like people are a lot on bikes. I went bike riding, for example, yesterday. I did the classic, like, you know, Tour de Flanders is cancelled. We're all devastated, and all the other classics are cancelled. So yesterday I went to all the famous hills. I don't know if you know them in America, but like Koppenberg, Paterberg, Quaremont, and I did like a mock run myself. And I saw a lot of people out on bikes, all people in duos, which was really funny. Not have a peloton, and also when you pass other people or they pass you, you cannot like how do you say that? Like hitch your wagon to that, and it's kind of like a duo time trial eventually, because near the canals there are a lot of people.
Do you mean draft? You can't draft them? Is that what you
mean? You can't draft them because then you're cycling with more than 2 people.
And here, look, Barry New is back with a report that if you ride further than 2 kilometers from the house, it's a €135 fine in France.
That is terrible. That is, I have a Zwift machine to use if that happens, but that never happens here. Really, we're a cycling country. I don't think our government will ever impose that. I don't think we'll go that far.
All right. Well, here's Marco from the Netherlands, and he's continuing with his daily rides. But the larger cities and towns are not included. He used to travel all over the place. So, but yeah, you got to keep in shape. I mean, it's important.
Yeah. Well, let's say that this thing goes on for another couple of months. I mean, I think that the health benefits of cycling are too great to discount for. I mean, if you're gonna put everybody indoors, I mean, you might get more unhealthy people than you would if you would let them cycling at least alone.
Yeah, right.
There was a really interesting study that was put out in one of the psychology rags I follow about China and the obesity epidemic post-coronavirus, and the amount of weight people have gained. It's astonishing, because they're not known for a very obese country, but they're saying that an average of 2.5 kilo gain across the board, but most of it's quite a bit higher.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think also for not only your physical health, but your mental health. I mean, for example, today I took my family, my wife and 2 little kids in a bicycle trailer, and I took them for a 50-kilometer ride. We were out for a couple of hours, and that was, I mean, we enjoyed that so much being out. I think that also is not good for your physical health, but also for your mental health.
For sure. Now, Joseph is also telling you guys, we're talking about the Alpha 7 and the After 7. So he's on the waiting list as well, apparently, for the After 7, of course, because Joseph collects every Velomobile that, you know, is out there. And I think they bump him to the top of the list. Well-deserved, I think.
It's a bad habit to be into, let me tell you.
And there's, Scott says it needs a 57 Chevy taillight. That's what we were talking about. And okay, and last thing here from Kirk saying he's seen a few more bikes out than usual. We saw a couple of those on chat. Like the traffic is much lower than both bicycle. We can talk about the bicycle traffic and the car traffic, because if the car traffic is lower, obviously that's going to make it much nicer for everyone to be able to get out there and ride more safely on the road. So. There's there's two edges to every sword here, and this is what we're dealing with, I think. So, Jan, okay, you have been a tremendous guest for a guy who just jumped on here. We had great fun having Jan, and we may have to have you back on sometime. It was great to meet you. I hope we get to see you in July. Stay in touch with us. I'm going to send you back down to
Sure.
backstage, and let us know if there's anything else you need to come on up for. But thanks a lot, Jan.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
You're
pleasure.
most welcome. All right, so there, Jan is back, and then let me bring our pal Randy up here. Let me highlight you, Randy Riding. So any of you folks who are routine viewers of the Laidback Bike Report will remember Randy from a couple of years ago. He came on and talked about his Quadyak, and he's going to give us an update on what's going on with him and the Quadyak, and what happened last summer, and maybe what's going to happen this year, hopefully. So first of all, hello, Randy Ridings.
Hey, Gary, how's it going?
It is. It's nice to see it's going as well as could be expected, I guess. So tell me, let's just start with you. For the folks who don't know who you are, tell them who you are, a little bit about your background and what you ride.
Well, about 6 years ago, I had the idea to make a human-powered amphibious velomobile. My father, who is a retired engineer, helped me build it. I kind of do all the bike and boat stuff, so I do brakes and gears and that sort of thing. My dad does the welding and milling and lathe work and that kind of stuff to bring this thing together. As of now, I've put a little over 6,000 miles on it, and I'm over the summers doing a cross-country ride with it, starting 2 summers ago, continuing last summer, and I'm hoping to continue this summer.
All right. That's a great intro. I think, Trey, let's go ahead and share that slideshow. I can do that, I think. There we go.
There's kind of a mock-up. We can kind of that's what I showed my dad to get him interested in the project.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's kind of go through these, Trey, and then we'll let Randy talk about it.
There was some testing I did to make sure it was still positively buoyant. I sank that in about 3 feet of water to make sure it floated to the surface. It does have like foam inserts in it to bring it back to the surface should I swamp it. There's me coming out of the water on a test run. It started as a trike. It is now a quad. There were some problems with the 3-wheel setup. So almost every picture you'll ever see of this thing changes somehow because I keep tweaking things to try to make it better.
Maybe this is a good point to take a quick breath and tell everyone about the actual tour. You talked about going cross country. Tell us where you started, and then what happened from there a couple of years ago.
So I started summer 2018 in Newport, Oregon, and I did 2,400 miles in 80 days and got to just about the Kansas-Oklahoma border. I'm going diagonally from northwest to southeast.
And riding, to make sure people really understand this, you are riding the roads, trails, and also you're on the waterways as well. How does that work? Tell us how that goes.
Well, and that's why I'm riding the route I'm doing, or the direction I'm doing, because once you get over the Rockies and you get down to where you're past the rapids, then all your rivers end up heading southeast towards the Gulf of Mexico, essentially. So,
right. And I interrupted you in the middle of telling us how you went. So you started in the northwest, and then
northwest and came across the Rockies, came across, I did Oregon, Idaho, and got to Casper, Wyoming, got in the Platte River there, took it to Nebraska, dropped down to Kansas, got in the Arkansas River in Kansas, and got to almost Oklahoma. That was that year. That was 2,400 miles in 80 days. It's about 30 miles a day. Yes, I'm the opposite of most of you guys. I'm not going for speed. I don't care about weight. This thing's heavy and slow, but it's a dual purpose thing. You have compromises that you have to make it go on land and water.
I have to go really fast to go on water, and then it's not very fun.
Yeah. Kirk says he's got his Strava saying that he goes across lakes all the time. Apparently, only Randy's is true to form in terms of actually going.
Yeah, but did he get a King of the Mountain on it?
Yeah,
King of the Lake.
Yeah.
Right. So here's a shot. This is my view. This was back when I had Coroplast wheel wells and windscreen. They're now Lexan. I've rebuilt that so I can see through them better, and it's actually even more waterproof. So this is just a local river, and this is early. This is where I lived in Carthage, Missouri. That's our courthouse. This is just a couple blocks from my house. This is actually the first test ride I ever did on land. It's right here. This is the first day it was ever ridden. So that's about 6 years ago. There's again, back when it was a 3-wheeler, I was experimenting with some external pontoons. I've really changed that up. I built some. The reason why I have those now, I have 2 external pontoons that replace the 2 rear wheels when I'm in the water. I pull the rear wheels off. Oh, by the way, this is front wheel drive, rear wheel steered. So it's the front wheels are the drive wheels, both on land and water, and then the rear end is the steering end, both on land and water. And if I'm going to be in the water long term, pull the rear wheels off, store them, carry a couple of pontoons that slip on the bike forks, and they become my rudders and a little bit of external flotation and balance and so forth. Yeah, there's a shot of it as a 4-wheeler. Yeah, we redid that. It's got rear wheel steering back there, and I can drive it right into some water, and those rear wheels will steer it because I've added kind of aero discs to them. All right, now so this is, I did a test ride, and this is part of it. I did about a 320-mile ride over 11 days, going on roads and trails and river around Missouri. Kind of did a loop from Clinton, Missouri, down the highways to Osage Beach, down the Osage River and the Missouri River to Mocaine, and then back on the Katy Trail. I think maybe the next slide might be Katy Trail stuff, or actually that's going down the Osage River. So it's about 320 miles in 11 days, just straight through, uninterrupted solo trip. And that's what convinced me that I could take this thing across the United States. There's Osage River, and so I would sandbar camp. There you can see the new pontoons. That was some different ones I put on, made out of coroplast and foam. Those would then, again, like I said, replace the rear wheels. I've since rebuilt those 2 different times from that. They needed to be tougher, so I've redone them now using blue plastic barrel plastic that I learned to heat weld to make into some pontoons. That's what I'm currently using, which are nearly indestructible. There's a sandbar on the Missouri River, and by the way, I carry, on that trip, I did not resupply at all. The entire nose is what I call the kitchen. It's full of all my food and cooking supplies. And then behind the seat is where clothing, tent, sleeping bag, all that kind of stuff goes.
Very nice.
There's a shot on the Katy Trail. A little impromptu rain fly I made out of my tent rain fly. And so speaking about off-season training, I own a 2-wheel recumbent. I own, which is a Vision. I own a 3-wheel Logo trike, and that's mostly what I train in now, because that feels more like the being inside the Quadyak, which is what the amphibious vehicle is called, the Quadyak, short for quad cycle kayak. And I'm out training now. Kind of fortunately and unfortunately, I live in an area that there's not a lot of bikers, so I can get out. I've got shouldered roads leading outside of town, out of town, that I can get out and ride, and it's farmland, so I'm not near anybody. And my biggest problem is, dogs running out and messing with me. So And here's a shot, and then not a great one, but that's the kayak before I started it, and that's still how I move the Quadyak around sometimes on the roof of that car with the wheels on it. And I just have a rack and then a ramp system that I built to get it up on top. And then I also have a trailer that I can pull behind an RV. And the RV is how I got it out to the coast. And so that cross-country trip, so going forward to the cross-country trip from 2 summers ago, I drove an RV to the coast, and then I would drive the RV maybe 300 to 500 miles ahead, leave it somewhere. I met host families, or I just found a place, and then I would get on a bus or get a ride back to the Quadyak, and then I'd ride it to the RV. That allowed me to stock up on food and not have to shop along the way. It's actually a good way if somebody wanted to do a cross-country ride, this would be a good way to pre-buy a bunch of your food and not have to go shopping along the way. A little hint for, if somebody wants to do a summer trip and want to stay away from people, I could have done the whole trip and barely talked to a soul, except for the fact of how visible my vehicle is. So a lot of people will gather around and chat with me at rest stops and whatever.
Which is a fun part of what you do. I know, an important part of what you do.
It is. But I will have to say the 2 summers, so the first summer is 2,400 miles in 80 days. Last summer, I was hoping to finish it. But
the first summer, I still don't know that we've cleared this up completely. The first summer, you started on the West Coast. Where did you end up?
And then I ended in a little town called Oxford, Kansas, which is almost on the Kansas-Oklahoma border, on the Arkansas River. I got into the Arkansas River around Hutchinson. That was where I figured it was the first place I could catch pretty consistent current. And then I stayed on the Arkansas River till I got almost the Oklahoma border. Okay. So that was, like I said, 80 days, 2,400 miles.
All right. And then the second year?
The second year, I had meant to be out for about 50 days. I cleared about that from my schedule. Unfortunately, I got some apocalyptic travel training last summer because the Arkansas River flooded to record levels. It was ridiculous how much damage. I went down a river that was essentially closed down. Not one barge moved on the Arkansas River last year, which is one of the main transportation and shipping networks in our country, and nothing moved on it last year. I had the Arkansas River to myself. It was kind of crazy, and a lot of campgrounds I ended at, which were on my maps and on my on my phone, were not there. They had been completely wiped out by the flooding, and I ended up staying in places that I had to stay there because I had nowhere else to go.
Right.
They were closed down Corps of Engineers campgrounds.
All right. And so where did you physically end up?
So
the last part of that.
Right. So I started in Kansas. I went completely across Oklahoma and ended at Ozark, Arkansas.
All right. And so we pick up the story there.
Pick up the story there. I have
last year.
Yep. So that's where. No, that's where I ended last year. So this summer I'll have to go back down to Arkansas, start there. So last summer I only got 20 days. I did 425 miles. So I was only making a little over 20 miles a day. So it kind of slowed me down. Water is slower than land in this craft anyway, but how much damage was going on, happened to the river was also a factor. So this summer, I'm hoping I can get down to Ozark, Arkansas, start there, and make it to my endpoint, which is St. Augustine, Florida. And actually, Trey, I'm going to be coming right by your house. I was about to contact you and talk about that. So my route is to finish the Arkansas River all the way to the Mississippi, go down a little bit, come out of the Mississippi, come up the Natchez Parkway to Jackson, and get in the Pearl River there and take it down to the Gulf.
So let me understand. You're gonna take the Quadyak down this creek and then ride up onto the bank onto Trey's backyard, and then Say I'm here. Is this how that's
Actually,
going to work?
when I approach there, I'll be in the Natchez Park on the Natchez Parkway. That's the idea.
Yeah, we're a couple of miles off the trace. That's where we ride every day, but you certainly don't want to go down the Pearl River right now.
Well, I know. Like every time I plan a route, the river floods. Yeah, the Pearl River's in.
Yeah, it is. It's unbelievable how high it is right now.
I literally just locked that plan in and started researching, and the first things that came up about Pearl River was how they were under like the worst flood. It's just exactly what happened on the Arkansas River last year. So
you're kind of at the mercy of the seasons, aren't you? And the particular season as well, Randy. So yeah. So okay. So that's your plan then. Hopefully you've got it planned out. You're good to go if conditions allow you to do so. Is that right?
Allow me. And luckily, a lot of things I do, no one else is doing, so I kind of don't have a problem with social distancing.
Yeah, that is fair to say. Not too many other people are doing what you are doing, so which makes it interesting and to have you on as always. So, is that about it for right now? Is that for the update? What else? I don't want to cut you off.
About it, I don't know if you like. If you wanted to ask any questions about going places where no one is already, like how I plan ahead and so forth, how I live, for 20 days at a time without resupply and that kind of thing. I do a lot of that. So
I'm going to ask you. Yeah, I'm going to ask you for your contact information again, so people can. Well, first of all, they can follow you on Facebook, and you have a wonderful YouTube channel where you've put all these videos that you've taken up. We will link to that as well. Best way to get a hold of you if someone has a question, Randy. What would that be?
Actually, on Facebook, the Quadyak has its own page. Quadyak. It's got a Facebook page. That's where people have Quadyak questions and that kind of thing. Please go there. That's probably the best. And you can also look it up on YouTube under Quadyak or under my name, Stereo Randy, is my channel name. And I just posted a new video today of the 2 summers ago trip from Idaho Falls to Casper, Wyoming, that leg of it.
Right. Okay. That sounds great. Randy, you're always willing to come on and help us out. Randy was also with us a couple of years ago at Recumbent CycleCon and showed off the Quadyak there. So he's a good pal of the show and a good pal of mine. So Randy, thanks so much. We will be in touch and we'll have you on again.
Okay.
All right. Very good. Randy Roddings, folks. All right. So let me send him back down. I think what I'd like to do, we got maybe 10 more minutes here, guys, to talk about. And I brought this up earlier in the show. And since we have 2 very prominent recumbent bike dealers with us, thought I would take advantage. Peter and Doug, I want to start, Peter, with you first. So let us know, if you could, how, the last few weeks have been, how it's affected your business at the Bicycle Man. And then I know you're making some big changes and are planning for whatever future comes up. Can you start us out with how things have been for you? Tell us a story.
Well, we've had a really good spring so far. The end of the winter was busy, and the spring has been busy. It's been real good, and we've got inventory coming out our ears. We've got over 100 trikes in stock and about 50 two-wheel recumbents. So that's probably the highest inventory we've ever had. Later this summer, we're planning to build a warehouse and then turn our current warehouse into workspace to assemble products I will not announce quite yet, but there will be more than one of those. But then the COVID came along and everything's changed. Saturday was the last day it was legal for us to be open, so the showroom is closed. But we'll be answering emails and answering the phone regular hours, which is 10 to 6 Wednesday through Saturday for us. That's posted in all 3 of our Facebook pages, Bicycle Man, Avenue Trikes, and Linear Recumbents. So we're still building stuff, assembling stuff, boxing stuff, shipping it, selling it, whatever, but just the showroom is closed. So if someone wants to make an appointment, they can come and we will meet them in the parking lot and they can test ride outdoors, but they can't come indoors because the showroom's closed. Unless they really, really have to pee, then they can come in for just a minute. But that's how we're dealing with it. Social distancing's not that difficult in a bike shop if you spend all your time outdoors test riding. So that's the important part of the visit anyway, right? So that's what we're doing. So email us, Pete@bicycleman.com. or go to any of our Facebook pages, and all the announcements should be up all 3 of our web pages soon too. So it shouldn't be too hard to find us.
And then, so just to project, so nobody knows what's going to happen, but let's say that 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks from now, things turn around and these restrictions are lifted. How soon will you be back to normal, would you say, in terms of being ready yourself? I don't know about business, but how about being ready?
We'll be more ready the day we reopen than we were the day we closed. What do you think we're doing? We're getting ready. What's the other choice?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
I'm also picking a lot of rocks off our yard. We did a lot of work at the house. So we're raking and picking rocks off and hauling them off the property in the sunny afternoons. It's great exercise.
Wow. There's a clever one for you.
And around here, social distancing on a bicycle is easy. You can hardly get close to somebody if you try. There's almost never see another bike. So I just ride when I feel like it, and it's nice. And now that the shop is closed, my hours are all pretty freed up. The bigger projects that tend to get lost in the daily running a business thing, those are coming to the forefront. So the linear web page is going to have a fair amount of editing. There's going to be some new pages with new products come up there. There's stuff we've been making the Minier, which is a bike with a 16-inch front wheel, either long or short wheelbase, folding bike. We've been making that for over a year, but it's not on our Facebook page or it's not on our web page yet, which is because we've been busy and I'm not that organized. So we're going to put that on there. This will a bike that'll fit people down to about 4'10" or 11 or so, depending on this and that. So we're going to have above seat steering on all of our bikes, long and short wheelbase. We're going to have the folding bike that all of our bikes fold now. We still have a few that don't fold left, but we're not making them anymore. There's still a few left in inventory. All of our linears fold now, and we're making all of them with a 20-inch rear wheel, so that it will go into 2 pieces of airline luggage. So those things aren't on our website yet. We're going to get that caught up.
Yeah, that'll be a good opportunity for that. All right, Peter, thank you so much for the update there, and thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Doug, let's go over to you. Bicycle Evolution down in Dallas. So I want to hear your update and give us the same story that Peter told us from your point of view.
It's a little different here. We have been closing businesses, but Texas, along with a lot of other states, have classified bicycle shops as essential businesses. Because we provide transportation services. So auto repair, bicycle shops, a few of these other were all lumped into what's considered an essential business. So we've not been ordered to close. And it's been crazy. We've had people wall to wall every day that there's been sunlight out. The days that it's been raining, it's been real slow. The days that the sun's out, they're here. We've been going through kids' bikes faster than I could have possibly ever imagined. We're basically out. At this point, get more coming in. I built a bunch this morning and they were already left. So from a kids bike perspective, they're going out. We've had people come in that are now at work at home situations. They want to change their life. Had a couple of Peloton people that bought these fancy high-end stationary bikes who've come into the store and bought regular bikes. We jokingly tell them it's just like a Peloton, only it goes places. And we've sold recumbents left, right, and center. Again, a lot of people that are in this work home, they've been telling, at least our state's been telling people, get out and exercise, get into fresh air. We've had plenty of that in between the weather, and they're doing it. The Velomobile sales have tapered off a little bit because of, I think, mostly the time of the year and a lot of uncertainty in people's finances. A lot of the people that buy Velomobiles, they're very expensive, and they're looking at what the markets are doing and where their investments are, and they're not, I think that's dried up a lot because of that. But on the flip side, everything else has gone nuts. And I was reading something yesterday evening in our local news. It said that the two things that are thriving right now in Texas are gun stores and bicycle shops. And my experience in the bicycle shop is that's definitely the case.
All right. Good. Well, so that sounds a little bit more hopeful. Again, it's all going to hinge on when this all ends, and none of us know what that is. But in the meantime, I guess it's important for us to stay in touch with all of you guys, and that's that's what I think what we're going to do. So as you know, our typical Laidback Bike Report webcast is once a month. We're going to have our next Laidback Bike Report on April 5th. So let's see. Do we have? Can you back up a couple slides there? I think we have them. Oh, don't we have that in there? Okay, maybe we got rid of them. So let me tell you what we have on that show. We've got Dana Lieberman from Bent Up Cycles coming. And he has posted a week or so ago about his very customized buildup of a nice VTX, beautiful build. And so we're going to talk about that. And also, we're going to have Alv Henriksen on. Alv is an amazing velomobiler. I'm sure Jan knows him. Yep, Jan has given me the thumbs up there. I'm going to bring you back on. You can talk about that in a second, Jan. Alv started a Facebook page called Velomobile 2020, and it was about touring in your velomobile through 20 countries, or it could be 20 states if you're here in America, wherever it happened to be. He just wanted people to get out and tour. That was all started, of course, before the COVID-19 started. Alv was leading the way. He's an intrepid tourer. He had done a winter tour of Finland, if you can imagine, last year. So he decided he was going to start the 2020 from his native Sweden just a few weeks ago, and he did. Went through a handful of countries, ended up in Poland last week when borders started closing down, and then he was going to be stuck. So he kept his Quattro Velo there, flew back to Sweden to kind of wait out until this all ends, and he's going to continue that tour. He was encouraging other velomobile owners to do the same, and a few others had joined. So that's kind of all been put on hold, of course, but we'll have Alv with us. I'm sure you guys will enjoy his wonderful pictures as well. Now, I think this has gone pretty well. We've had a good time. I hope you guys have. So I'm inclined to go ahead and try this again maybe next Sunday and just kind of keep these impromptu ones going where we can get together and share our experiences riding our recumbent bikes and trikes and velomobiles. So if that's the case, let me know on social media. On our Facebook page. Please like us on the Facebook page. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. That helps us out. And if you really like what we do, become a Patreon patron. We would really appreciate that. I'll have all those links in the description below. So at that, I think I'm going to kind of call it a show here. We're about the 1 hour mark. I want to thank all my panelists. Let's get them back on here again. You guys did a great job, and I know this was uncharted territory today, so I appreciate you guys jumping on and helping me out. Yet again. When don't we have uncharted territory? So thank you to all my wonderful panelists, and again to Jan. Let me bring you up real quick too. I'm going to send. Let me send you back. Yeah, I'll send Larry back here, and let me bring Jan up. Jan, did you know about the 2020?
I did, and I saw a picture of Alv's Quattro Velo, his modified Quattro Velo, stranded at a European border that was crushing in so many ways.
Yeah, that's where he left off, and we're going to talk to him about that in a couple of weeks. So we're anxious to have him on. Thanks again for you being on too. I'm going to send you on back now. We'll talk to you soon. All right, and then lastly, here we go. So Trey and Larry Seidman and Denny
not
Voorhees.
Muted.
No, you're not. We hear you fine. oh, you're not muted. Finally, yeah, it's the first words you had. Words of wisdom from Larry Seidman, folks. That's all you're going to get. Thanks a lot, Peter Stull, the Bicycle Man, and Doug Davis, Mr. Wizard. All helpful and all great to have you all here with us today. So. I think that's it. So from all of us here at the Laidback Bike Report, until our next webcast, maybe next week, so long, Bent Riders.